Okay, today you're going to be doing the mid-chapter review for chapter 9. It's in your workbook. But before we do that, I want to back up and talk about 9.1 again when we were doing line plots and then finding an average. It was a little confusing, so I just wanted to do a fun activity to help us get it into our brains. So this is what I want you to do. We're going to flip a water bottle. So I really hope you have a water bottle around that you can flip. You know how you flip it and you try to get it to land on its bottom. That's what we're going to do. So pause this video, go find a water bottle and a piece of paper to write on, and then hit play again. I hope you found a water bottle and a piece of paper. We're going to start our little activity. So first, I want you to make a table kind of like this, okay? We are going to have 8 different people, or you are going to flip it 8 different times. Each time you're gonna flip it 10 times. I hope that made sense. So flip a water bottle 10 times. So I did it first. I flipped a water bottle 10 times, and 0 of those times did it actually land on its bottom. I was really bad the first time. So then I did it again. I flipped it 10 more times. This time I managed to land it upright 3 times. I want you to do that. You are either going to do it 8 times, or you're going to get some family members in on it with you. Me and my husband did it. We took turns. He did it 4 times. I did it 4 times. And I'll post a video of us doing it if you want to watch it. I mean, it's not that exciting, but I did get pretty good. I got a higher number than my husband, so you all should be proud of me. So pause this video. You're going to flip it 10 times, write it down. Flip it 10 times, write down how many times it landed. Do that 8 times. So you're flipping the bottle 80 times total. Good luck. I hope you get better than I did. Pause this video and then hit play when you're ready. Okay, so I'm gonna write down the rest of my numbers. The third try, we got it once, 3 times, 5 times, 4 times, 7 times, and 9 times. As you can see, we got a lot better as we kept practicing. So we now have 8 data points. I hope you also have 8 data points. We are now going to draw a line plot for our data. So do this with me, but you're gonna have different numbers than I am, and I hope your numbers are higher than mine. So we flipped a bottle. We were flipping it 10 times, so it's possible that we could have got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10. Those are our possible scores, I guess you could call them. How many times we could have landed it out of 10. Now we're going to go ahead and graph it. So let's put an X wherever we see a number. So our first try, my first try was 0, so I'm gonna put an X on 0. And then I'm gonna check it off so I know that I got it. My next try, I got 3, then I got 1, then I got 3, then 5, then 4, then 7, then 9. I hope that didn't just confuse you. I feel like maybe I'm talking in circles and it doesn't make sense, but put your scores on the line plot. You should have 8 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you did it more times, then you're gonna have more X's. Go ahead and pause the video and make your line graph. Line plot. Okay, hopefully you have a line plot. Now, what 9.1 asks you to do was find the average. Average is like our middle number. Now, we can't just look at this graph and know, oh, 5's in the middle, or 2 is in the middle. We don't really know just by looking at it. So we have to do some adding and dividing and all that fun stuff. So you find the average by adding all of these up and then dividing by the number of data points we had. So we're going to add all of these up. We're going to add 0 plus 1 plus, I have 2 3's, 3 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 7 plus 9. I wrote all of those out. They're right here also. I just want to add them all together. Will you please add all of yours together? Pause the video and hit play when you're ready. I got 32 when I added all of mine up. 32. Now 32 is not my average. 32, I added them all up. Now we have to take that number and we need to divide it by how many data points I had. Let's count our x's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I had 8 data points, so I'm taking my total and I'm dividing it by how many data points I have. If you got zeros, it's important that you count your zeros. So when I do 32 divided by 8, I get 4. 4 is my average of this data set. It is the middle kind of my data set. Pause this video and figure out what your average is. I hope you were able to find out your average. I wish my average was higher. This means if I tried to do it again, I'm more likely to get probably around 4 than I am up at 9 again. That was pure luck. So I hope that helps you kind of know what average is and how we find it. Now, if you will please pause this video again and you're going to get out your mid-chapter review. It is on page, let me write it down, page 557. That was bad. 557. Tear that out, then hit play. Okay, I'm not going to do the whole review with you. I just want to do the problem that is from 9.1 that talks about averages. So if you look, you have the vocabulary section on the top, then the concepts and skills. It says use the line plot at the right for questions 3 through 5. I don't have a copy of the mid-chapter checkpoint, so I had to copy it down, but you should see this graph. The weight of kittens in the animal shelter. This LB right there means pounds. That means pounds. We are weighing our kittens in pounds. So our first question asked, how many kittens weigh at least 3/8 of a pound? So at least means they can't weigh less, but they can weigh more. These are in order. This is the smallest, this is the largest, okay? So 3/8 or more. Let's count how many cats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The answer is 9 kittens. Weigh at least, that word was really important, at least 3/8 of a pound. They can weigh more, so these ones over here, but they can't weigh less in this question. If I wanted to know how many kittens weigh less than 3/8, so here we have 3/8, I want to know how many are less. I'm going to use everything to this side of 3/8, and I only have 1, 2, 3 kittens that weigh less than 3/8. So make sure you're reading these questions close so that you know exactly what it's asking you. Skip number 4. Cross off number 4. Now number 5 is what I'm really wanting to focus on. What is the average weight of the kittens in the shelter? There's that word again, average. Now we just found average, or you watched me find average with our water bottle flipping. That one was a little easier because we didn't have any fractions in our water bottle flip activity. Now we do have fractions, and I think that's where it got the hardest in 9.1. And it's hard because I'm not there with you and I don't know how to, I can't tell if you're confused or not. So I hope this will make sense and give you another opportunity to review this. So our first step in finding the average was adding all of these up. So I need to do 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 3/8 plus 3/8 plus 3/8 plus 3/8 plus 1/2 plus 1/2 plus 1/2 plus 5/8 plus 5/8. Whew. That's too complicated, and they all have different denominators at the moment. So we're going to make it easier on ourselves, and we're just going to focus on one fraction at a time, okay? So let's focus on our 1/4. How many 1/4 do I have? Count with me. 1, 2, 3. You could do 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4, but I'm going to do 3 times 1/4. When we are multiplying, it's the same thing as repeated addition, doing that 1/4 3 times. Now, we've learned how to multiply fractions. We know that we just need to put a 1 underneath the 3, and now we can multiply the tops and the bottom. 3 times 1 is 3. 1 times 4 is 4. Okay, we're going to not forget about that number. Just keep that number there for a second while we move on to our next fraction. We have 3/8. Count with me how many 3/8 we have. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to do 4 times 3/8. Sorry, I dropped the lid to my marker. Okay, put a 1 underneath. 4 times 3 is 12. 1 times 8 is 8. I'm going to leave that for a minute and come back to it. If you're saying, Mrs. Butler, you can't do that, you can't leave an answer like that, I know, we're gonna come back to it. Okay, here we go, our halves. Count with me, 1, 2, 3. I need to do 3 times 1/2. Put a 1 underneath your 3. 3 times 1 equals 3. 1 times 2 equals 2. Put that aside for just a second. Let's do our last one. 5/8. How many 5/8 do I have? 1, 2. Two times 5 is 10. 1 times 8 is 8. Okay. This problem wasn't nice to us. It did not give us common denominators. So our next step in finding the average is adding these 4 numbers up. And I can't add them unless they all have common denominators. So let's find common denominators. We have 4, 2, and 8. Can you think of what the common denominator should be between those? It should be 8. We can leave these 2 as 8, and we need to get these 2 to look like 8. So 4 times what is 8? 2. If I do it to the bottom, I have to do it to the top. 3 times 2 is 6. I know we haven't seen each other face to face in a while and been in school, but I know that you know how to do that. So don't say you don't know how. I know you can do it. Let's look at the bottom one. 2, we're trying to make it look like 8. 2 times what is 8? If you said 4, you were right. So I have to multiply my top by 4. 3 times 4 is 12. Okay, now that they all have common denominators, we can add them up. We're going to do 6/8 plus 12/8, 6/8, 12/8, plus another 12/8, plus 10/8. Will you take a second and figure out what that would be? Pause the video if you need to. Our top number would be 40, and our denominator stays the same. When we are adding, our denominator stays the same. You do not change, or sorry, you do not add all of those together. Stays the same. All right, so now we have 40 over 8. 48, that's an important number. I'm going to leave it like this in our improper fraction because it just eliminates a step later. So we have 48ths. Our last step in finding the average was dividing it by how many points we had. So count all the x's with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We need to divide this by 12. I hope you remember when we are dividing fractions that we use our KFC. We're going to keep the first fraction the same. We're going to flip the second fraction. Now we should probably put a 1 under there so that it does look like a fraction. And we're going to change the division sign to a multiplication sign. Now we can multiply. 40 times 1 is 40. 8 times 12 is 96. This is our average. We can simplify it. Man, this mid-chapter checkpoint was not nice to us, and I'm hoping the ones on the test are a little bit simpler. But we have 40 over 96. I'm trying to think of how we can simplify that. We can simplify by dividing by 8 on the top and 8 on the bottom. Try to list out your factors to try to figure that one out. You could do 2's multiple times, just make sure you get it simplified. So 40 divided by 8 is 5, and 96 divided by 8 is 12. I can't simplify that any further. The factors of 5 are only 1 and 5, and the factors of 12 are 1, 2, 3, 4, but not 5. So the average weight of the kittens in the shelter is 5/12 pounds. I know that was a really long problem and a lot of steps. Rewatch this video if you need to. There is, let me just check really fast. There's not another average problem on the mid-chapter checkpoint, but there will be some on the test. If you get to the test and you need to see all of this again, come back and rewatch this video. Flip over your mid-chapter checkpoint. You are skipping number 16. Cross out number 16. Your homework today is to do the rest of the mid-chapter checkpoint. Let me know if you have questions.